All right, I'm gonna continuously make videos. As you can see, I've been very vocal, and I'm gonna continue to be vocal. Especially when I have people around me who wants to create this reality that is so manipulated, so delusional, and so comical. And they don't like the fact that I'm putting things in perspective because their job is to go with this fantasy they put together. They understand that it's obviously nonsensical. They understand that they're not idiots. They're well, they some of them are idiots, but most of them are understanding that this is how we're gonna create this false reality. I'm listening to somebody in the hallway. She's telling me how I'm gonna shiver. I'm gonna because she's seen perhaps the torture I'm gonna deal with. No, she doesn't have. She has zero idea of what's gonna happen to her. Zero idea, right? And that's the beauty of what they do is because as much as they know what's gonna happen to you, they have no idea how things are gonna happen to them. But they have dedicated their time into doing some foul things and make themselves damn near illogical. And that's what I find magical about this is a lot of the perps here, very little can happen to them and it could be the end for them. And this end can come anytime. But they don't know when that's gonna happen. And so when I listen to this person say, you're gonna be shivering, keep laughing, keep mocking, you know, because don't mock. It's comical to try to make you subscribe to this manipulation. They make you think in this illogical way. It's gaslighting. Gaslighting is really try to create a false reality, and systematically try to make you accept this false reality, and so they have to dumb themselves down to make you accept these things. It's like creating a new reality, and they want you to accept this falsified reality, and you seeing that for what it is, you can start laughing about it. But they don't want you to laugh about it because they want you to take it seriously. And so they bring up what's going to happen to you. Regardless of what's going to happen to me, I'm never going to subscribe to this. I understand the psychological warfare of what you're doing. You're supposed to gaslight me into accepting these things. It's so illogical. It's so dumbed down. It's just, it takes people who have really no self-respect to even try to force you to think this way. They have this persona. I call the Roy Moore persona. I'd purposely say Roy Moore because this is a name they don't want to say or have limitation of how they can say it. They have different variety of how they say Roy Moore. They say Roy Moore in a way that's like I can barely hear it, or did they say something else and then sound like Roy Moore? That's how they do it. Roy Moore was a man that used to pick up kids when he was an assistant DA. They want me to be this kind of personality, right? Anything pedophilia centric, this is what they try to create, right? Matter of fact, as I was saying this and I was talking about it, somebody yelled Roy Moore, at the same time. I don't even know if he said that properly, but that's the only way that person can say it. It's embarrassing, it's humiliating. But this man used to pick up kids. And anything that's pedophilia centric, they try to create this persona into me. Right? These people who can say this name without when I'm focusing on what they're saying, who can clearly say it. Their limitation of how they can say the name of this pedophile is an indication of what these people are. And these people say, when you can hear it, they say, and then it's like, please say that again. They have issues saying that. So this is an example of what kind of people are involved in your targeting. These perps are even limited to say a pedophile name, but they're forcing you to accept this nonsensical, comical way of seeing reality. So they were doing this thing where they were making me think in all these different ways of all the illogicalness. Let's starting off with one of my initial roommates. When I was 31, I got two roommates. One was 25 years old, and one was late 30s. And so the 31 years old was dating a 32-year-old Dominican guy. And she, she was like, I think she's turning 25 in a few months or so, or in a month or so. But she could pass for somebody also younger. That age that these people like early 20s, they can go either way, right? It's kind of like somebody can look a little bit younger. She was small and kind of petite. Not a bad looking girl, but just like something about her was kind of like not really, was turning me off. I'm not here to judge anybody looks. I turn a lot of people off. I understand that, but I just say that something about her made me not see her, make me feel like a little bit not into her, right? In this, if I had to judge her in regards of me being with her, but she's a good looking person, but to me, just something about her that just kind of made her a little bit not like womanly enough for me. And not to say that she's not good looking. It's just to me something just didn't make, like something was off about her. It's just like I wanted to look at her in this way, but it's just something that's always made me not look at her in this fashion. Because it's just too petite. It's like just ugh. Like there's something about that just kind of turned me off, to be honest. Even though she's a good looking young woman, it's just something that just it just didn't work with me. I don't know. I couldn't tell. It's just maybe she could like she was just too petite for me. Like she's just like not womanly enough for me. Kind of, And there was also a weird thing, but I'm sure a lot of men will find her very very beautiful, right? But for me, it's just something that's just not right about her. Just something not doing well with me. It's just something. I don't know if she's because she's too small, but I remember her trying to really try to walk around and just kind of like looking at walking a certain way and try to like show her butt and try to look at me and just like, and I'm looking at her like, okay, whatever, you know. Now, but there's something that will always like just because any other man would probably see her as a beautiful young woman or whatever, but to me it was just something just even when I was trying, just couldn't go there. Like something was just not taking me there. But they were saying like you see like because although she's an adult, she could pass for somebody who's like late teen too, right? Because that when you start like this early 20s, these people can go either way. It's like like you were into her, you see she could be because she could be in the late teen. You see, that's proof. Matter of fact, she was underage all along. Your roommate was underage, and it's so pathetic because the reality of the thing is I actually wanted to look at her in a different ways, but all I saw is like I almost felt like there was like my little sister almost. Like it felt like almost like little sister. Even though I was I was trying to say maybe there's something, but it just at one point I felt like, oh my gosh, I feel like that's my little sister. I thought maybe this person is gonna be help me. She can help me, like she could be my wing woman or whatever, but they try to say, you see, kind of like, it's just so sad. This and she was dating a man that was older than me. A Dominican guy who was older than me. And I was like, wow. Well, me, they would try to they would try. I was something was off, and I remember hearing somebody from outside say, "There's something about her, huh?" Yelling out loud, and I was like, "Yeah, that's true. There's something about her that just kind of turns me off. There's something just like, ugh, just not." And the thing is because the fact that she could look like almost underage, even though she's an adult, she's my roommate, she's paying rent. She's on this lease with me. The lease I'm on, she's on. I know she's an adult in 20. She's dating a man that's actually older than me. But something was turning me off. And I think that's that. It's just like this, just something that was not just womanly about her. But I know a lot of men would have loved her. But me, just something was off. I felt like I was becoming like, it felt like a brotherly thing more. Even though she's, dating somebody older than me. I'm 31 at this point. She's dating somebody that's 32. And so I'm like, I don't know. It's just, something just not right. But now they're like, oh, you see her, you wanted her. It's like, matter of fact, it's the opposite. I should have like be interested in her, but there's something that will always make me feel something else. There's just something. Like even when I was trying, because I'm like, she's not a bad looking woman, but there's something about her that is not, just not taking me there. And that's because she was just lacking that womanly aspect of her. And she's really trying, huh? She was wearing a little short shorts. She was doing like it was just like, something's off. Something just not, it's just something off. And she would walk and try to look at me and look at her, and like she would like literally like pretend like she was like I saw somebody who was walking like that, and she looked at her butt and look at me, and I'm like, okay. And you see these people try to see that's proof. It's like, ugh, whatever. And then they talk about a moment that is even more bizarre. And it's like, oh, we baited you. You know what's the bait? I was at, we had a thing, a outing where I used to work in a place where there's basically mostly like in offices and restaurants and hotels. And we go to work. We had this event in this rooftop, and then me and the other people go to another bar. On our way there, I'm talking to this guy. I'm new to New York. I'm like, hey, uh, I'm loving New York, and I've noticed a lot of women are paying attention to me. Like and I'm saying like, oh, this, I'm saying, oh, the women here and whatever. And as I'm saying this here, there's this woman. Sorry, I don't even know if it's a woman, but some young person. I don't know if she walks by. And by the way, somebody's just making noise campaign, trying to be aggressive, bah! Because this is gonna sound illogical, irrational. And as this person tries to do this aggressive noise, it's because what's gonna happen is going to them is proof. As we walk into a different club, to a different bar, this person who looks young adultish, she walks by, and she just stares at me like, "Whoa!" And as I'm talking to him about like, oh, the woman in New York, she just like walk and just stares at me, and I'm like, yeah, just, and I pointed to it. It's like, you see, and I'm pointing to her. You see that? And like, see, how old was she? I'm like, what? Right now, you heard somebody slamming the door. She's like, yeah, we baited you. She's not an adult. So I was like, what? Slamming the door. We dared. These people came and said, Roy Moore. You understand how life is, reality, what they try to escape? They say, oh, you see, and it was all orchestrated, of course. This person was literally like staring at me and walking while I'm talking to her about like, yeah, the woman here, and I see this person just walking, staring at me while walking, like, and trying to like, sure, like just like looking at me and staring at me and walking. Imagine somebody like that coming towards you and you're talking to somebody, a coworker. It's like, yeah, New York, there's a bunch of women, and I'm noticing this. I'm not saying that to him as like this, a lot of women just looking at me. I'm thinking that they're interested in me, but in reality, I was a target individual. And you see this young person. I don't know exactly. She can go either way, right? She's a late teen or early 20s, right? Just like my roommate. And she just like stares at me. And I'm like, you see, for example, and they're like, oh, that's proof. Bait. It is the most pathetic thing to see in realizing the level of gaslighting and the methods of them trying to make me subscribe to this thing. These people making no